Hi, everyone. I was at church this morning and our pastor was talking about worry and how, whatever, basically, if we worry about something, whatever we worry about, it reveals what we have not truly surrendered to God about. And be an area of our lives that we just have failed to trust God in. We haven't trusted Him enough to just release it. And by the end of the sermon, I was just thinking about Jonah and the castor bean plant. It's really kind of a parable about worry. So I wanted to just read Jonah chapter 4 and then just talk about it. So, so we know that Jonah went to Nineveh reluctantly. He first didn't want to. Well, he didn't want to at all, basically, because he knew that God was full of grace and that He was quick to forgive and that God loves mercy. And Jonah did not apparently want that for Nineveh. Nineveh was known for being just a city of bloodshed, a city of just great evil and injustices and lack of righteousness, and Nineveh was angry. So historically, Nineveh, I'm just looking this up online. I guess at one time they had laid siege of Jerusalem in 701 BC. So they're just, it was just a city of great wickedness and evil. So Jonah went to Nineveh and warned them basically, in 40 days Nineveh will be overthrown, and that their wickedness had reached God's attention. They proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest of them to the least. When the news reached the king of Nineveh, he got up from his throne, took off his robe, put on sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He then had this proclamation made throughout Nineveh by decree of the king and his nobles: no person or animal, herd or flock, is to put anything in his mouth. They are neither to eat nor drink water. They must be covered with sackcloth, both people and animals, and they are to cry out to God with all their might. Let each of them turn from his evil way and from the violence they practice. Who knows, maybe God will change His mind, relent, and turn from His fierce anger, and then we won't perish. When God saw by their deeds that they had turned from their evil way, He relented. He relented and did not bring on them the punishment He had threatened. So, Jonah chapter 4. But this was very displeasing to Jonah, and he became angry. He prayed to the Lord Adonai, "Now, Adonai, didn't I say this would happen when I was still in my own country? That's why I tried to get away to Tarshish ahead of time. I knew you were a God who is merciful and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in grace, and that you relent from inflicting punishment. Therefore, Adonai, please just take my life away from me. It's better for me to be dead than alive, Adonai." And then Adonai asked, "Is it right for you to be so angry?" Jonah left the city and found a place east of the city, where he made himself a shelter and sat down under it in its shade to see what would happen to the city. Adonai, God, prepared a castor bean plant and made it grow up over Jonah to shade his head and relieve his discomfort. So Jonah was delighted with the castor bean plant. But at dawn the next day, God prepared a worm, which attacked the castor bean plant so that it dried up. Then, when the sun rose, God prepared a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head so hard that he grew faint and begged that he could die, saying, "I would be better off dead than alive." God asked Jonah, "Is it right for you to be so angry about the castor bean plant?" He answered, "Yes, it's right for me to be so angry that I could die." Adonai said, You're concerned, you're worried, you're concerned over the castor bean plant, which cost you no effort. You didn't make it grow. It came up in a night and perished in a night. So shouldn't I be concerned about the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left, not to mention all the animals? So, when we're worried, when we're concerned about an area of our lives, maybe it's family, maybe it's a family member that you've been praying for a long time, maybe it's restoration in a loved one's life, maybe it's paying your bills. It could be anything. It could be your health. It could be someone else's health. It could be the well-being, the social and emotional well-being of your family, or just anything. Whatever you're concerned about, it costs God so much more effort to provide for them, to grow them up. Aren't we more valuable than a castor bean plant? So when God raises us, designs us, puts his breath of life in us, he forms us in the womb, he weaves us together, he writes our stories, he sent his son to die for us and then raise again on the third day. He paid the ultimate price for our salvation, and he watches over us. Nothing escapes his notice. He has watched us grow up. He cares so much more than we do. As much as we care about our loved ones, as much as we care about whatever it is that concerns us or that we're worried about, as much as we care, God cares so much more. So we see here, just, I feel like the castor bean plant is whatever we're worried about. And God's not saying that it won't affect us. I mean, it did provide comfort and shelter for Jonah. So it did affect Jonah. And then it's the castor bean plants dying affected Jonah. The worm that was sent to destroy, to attack the castor bean plant and then dry it up affected Jonah. God isn't saying that whatever you're worried about today doesn't affect you or shouldn't affect you, because it realistically, I mean, it's going to affect you. However, worrying about it is not going to change anything. We could hold on so tightly to whatever we're trying to have control over. We could worry about it from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep. We could lose sleep over it. And the amount of time that we spend worrying about it, concerning ourselves over it, with the strength that we spend clinging so tightly to whatever we're worried about, is not going to add 1 minute to our lives. It's not going to add 1 more minute to another person's life. It's not going to add an inch to our height. We cannot change anything by worrying. So God's not saying that it shouldn't affect us, that it's not going to affect us. But what God is saying is that you're concerned over blank, the castor bean plant, which cost you no effort. You didn't make it grow. You didn't form it. It came up in a night and perished in a night. So shouldn't I, God, be concerned about the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left, not to mention all the animals? So we can stress out, worry about our loved ones and our lives that may be like the great city of Nineveh, who God compared to the castor bean plant. God formed them, each one of them. He loves them so much. Shouldn't he be concerned about them more so than how do I put this? Us worrying or concerning ourselves over other people's decisions is not going to change anything. God cares. God knows. Nothing escapes his notice, and nothing is too difficult for him. If it's not going the way that we want it to go, don't worry. God's got this. That's what I'm trying to say. God has got this. He cares. He loves them more than you could ever imagine. He was the one who formed them. Even if you're a mother who loves your child, yes, I know that they were formed in your womb, but they were formed by God in your womb. I don't know if I'm explaining this very clearly, but I just want you guys to know that God is concerned and he knows. He knows. Don't worry. He loves them more than you do. All right. God bless you all. Bye.